Hey there, Internet. Welcome to the Hard On Gear channel, where I discuss and review my used and abused knives and gear. Thinking about getting an everyday carry fixed blade, but not too sure where to begin? This video should give you a pretty good idea of where to start and what your different options are. So I've carried larger fixed blades for quite a while for different work tasks, but I was looking to get into EDC fixed blade carry about a year and change ago, and I ended up with the Azula 2 from SE Knives. I looked around YouTube for all sorts of different knife videos, but one of the topics I couldn't find much on were the different ways to carry EDC fixed blades. Now you can find a few different videos out there that'll cover a few of the different carry options and some that are pretty good, but I wanted to try and create my own, what I thought would be a pretty complete fixed blade carry video with most of the different options that people are going to consider, at least for your typical EDC fixed blade carry. I know there's going to be tons of different stuff that people carry for, and some more very specific self-defense and conceal carry stuff. Not going to get into that a ton. This is going to be a little more generic, although it'll touch on that stuff a little bit. If you want to see a quick 1-minute version of this, you can check out a short that I did not too long ago, which covers these knives and where I carried them on my person. And if you're going to stick around for this one, I'm going to be throwing a few of those clips in as I talk throughout this video. So first here, I've got the SRK from Cold Steel. This is in the SK5 steel. This is a dangle carry sheath, and by dangle, I just mean that it's got a little bit of play here on a loose nylon strap. And of course, this dangles freely, so you've got a little more room to move this around. Now this is a hip carry, a vertical hip carry, you'll hear it called, handle up in this case. There's other vertical hip carry knives, which is the most common and popular way to carry a fixed blade knife. This is sort of an in-between, a dangle and a standard vertical carry, because you do have a little bit of movement with this. So technically, I think you would call this a dangle, whereas something like your typical Mora knife, this is the Condor Pterosaur, by the way, not just a Scandi grind bush knife, and this is a typical Mora companion, very, very popular budget Mora companion with a rugged, stiff plastic Mora sheath. But all vertical hip carries, just a little more standard hip carry, kind of a dangle carry, and a straight up dangle carry fixed blade. You've also got a lot of your standard traditional style leather sheaths, which have the belt loop stitched right into the sheath, which is not at all dangly, very much fixed to your hip. Next, we have the Azula 2 in a pocket slip type sheath, and this is the Azula 2 sheath, just a version that has all of the extra hardware, slots and all the other stuff sanded off of it, just to make it super slim and minimalist. But this, if you were to carry it in a pocket slip fashion, would just go in your pocket like change or like a lighter or anything else, and you'd pull this out and leave the sheath in as need be. And it's a pretty handy way to carry it, but the knife is in your pocket and it can be a little bit cumbersome and kind of bang around with whatever else you have in there. So the other option is to carry it with a pocket clip into a sheath. So I've got the Ulti clip, the large one, which is, oh, put that the wrong way, a little bit big for carrying with a pocket clip style carry. The Ulti clip Slim would be a better pick for something like that, a lot less noticeable on the outside of your pocket. But carrying a fixed blade this way is very similar to how you carry a folding knife in your pocket, by just sliding it in with the pocket clip, and it's sitting there on the edge of your pocket, kind of out of the way from everything else until you need to use it. The Ulti clip, a little bit different because the sheath and the clip stays in your pocket. The nice thing is with the pocket clip versus just the plain old slip is that the sheath and more importantly, the opening of the sheath will stay at the top of your pocket, making it a lot easier for resheathing. Although most of the time when you're drawing a knife, you don't have to worry about resheathing it all that quickly, so long as you can get it out fairly easily and quickly. The next option is appendix carry, and the Azula 2 is my favorite appendix carried knife, and I prefer to carry it in the belt clip sheath, which same old sheath, just different attachments. If you purchase the SE Azula Survival mounting kit, you'll have the belt clip and a few other options for molly and I think neck knifing, which is originally what the Azula 1 was made for, as a neck knife. The nice thing about the belt clip is that you don't have to thread your belt through it like a lot of appendix carry or other sheaths, so you can just slap this on. It's got a very retentive clip. I've never had this come off of my belt, and I've had to haul this out, especially this new sheath has a lot of retention. Never had this sheath, or the clip rather, fly off of my belt while drawing this knife. But the Bradford Guardian 3 is like a lot of appendix carry knives and other knives where you've got to actually thread it through every time you want to change it from one pair of pants to the other. So if you're changing from jeans to work pants or something like that, can be a pain in the butt, but there is the Kydex sheath you can purchase for these as well separately. But still a very handy knife and a very popular, probably along with the Azula 2, two of the most popular EDC fixed blades, which is why I did a little versus video not too long ago if you're kind of battling between which one of these you're looking to get. But appendix carry is nice. You've got the option of drawing with either hand, so it's going to be at your 12 o'clock position at the front of your body, kind of right where your belt buckle is typically at. So this one is set up for my left hand draw, so if I need to access with my left hand, it's there, and if my left hand's tied up, I can reverse draw with my right hand, and vice versa with any appendix or scout carry that you're going to do. So very, very handy. Good to have for some kind of a backup blade in case you ever, again, had one hand tied up in whatever kind of scenario. I'll skip ahead here a little bit just because kind of the opposite, in my mind at least, the opposite of appendix carry is scout carry, which scout carry is, again, going to be a horizontal carry, kind of long parallel with your belt and your belt line, and this is going to be on the small of your back. So this right now is a ambidextrous sheath, but it's facing what would be my left-handed appendix carry position. If I swap that around, now you've got how it would be looking if I had that on my back. So scout is just on the small of your back, horizontal, can be a little bit of a pain. And actually the only EDC fixed blade that I personally have liked to scout carry has been this Gerber Ghost Strike. It fits very, very low profile to the small of your back. I've tried an appendix carry, and I do find that it's a little too long and rigid, so that it, unless you've got a perfectly wide, flat front midsection, you're probably going to have this poking out a little bit like this. So scout carry, though, has been pretty good. Had no complaints so far. I mean, like anything, you got to get used to it, and for a couple days it was kind of annoying, but it pretty decent. The only issue I find with scout carry is that it kind of looks a little bit more tactical and maybe a little more intimidating. So if you're wearing a longer shirt or a sweater or jacket, you're probably going to be covered up. But when you go to draw this thing, it is kind of almost not concealed, but it's going to catch some people off guard. If you're in a t-shirt and you end up bending over to tie your shoes or something like that, this thing's going to pop out, and I know for sure I've gotten some odd looks from people because, again, it looks kind of concealed, which if you're in a place where you're allowed to conceal knives, not a big deal at all. Don't worry about it too much. So scout carry, another very good option, one that I'm not a huge fan of, but the Gerber Ghost Strike is one that I would definitely recommend if that's the route you're looking to go. Next, we have one of my favorite knives, and you can see my top 5 favorite fixed blade video of 2021 very recently if you're curious to see what my favorite fixed blades were, and all of them, if not most of them at least, are on this table. So this is in a taco style sheath, and most taco style sheaths are going to have a pretty good molded retention, and that is largely due to the handle scales sort of having the sheath molded around it. So it works out quite well. So if you want to carry this in what I'm calling a samurai carry, which Tu Lam, Ronin Tactics, seen in the video of his where he's got this lanyard looped with some paracord onto his belt line, and it's basically tethered so that if you have this tucked into your belt, it's gonna, the flaring around the handle kind of allows this to sit up on your belt, and when you're ready, especially with the retention ring, all you have to do is kind of drill and get used to finding that with your finger and drawing, and then you're gonna have this dangle free while you've got the knife in your hand. And if you need to resheath, of course, this is gonna be ready and down at your hip somewheres. And if you need to move it around, you've got the option to slide this wherever you want in your belt line, and if you have to maybe move it a belt loop or so, you can do that pretty easily. Now, the other option, if you want to go that inside the waistband sort of carry, is an inside the waistband clip, like the Tor Anaconda comes with, which is just a plastic inside the waistband clip. A lot of different options for something like that. But then the Alti clip works pretty well for that same scenario, where you can just tuck this inside, and the Alti clip is quite sturdy and just snaps onto whatever belt or strap you want to fasten it onto. Good for horizontal, up or down, vertical. You can carry these scout or appendix. There's different mounting options for the Tor Anaconda. That's also why I grabbed the extra sheath for it. So there is appendix carry options for it. There's a couple of directional fastening straps that make this kind of similar to the Artemis sheath carry systems, but this is kind of long for appendix or scout carry for me. Again, if you have a really wide and flat torso, which is a bit of a unique build, maybe this would work for you. I find this works pretty well inside the waistband, and I much prefer actually the inside the waistband tethered lanyard looped carry. So next we have the Tops Mill Spy Elite over here, and these top sheaths are pretty handy. Now I'm left-handed and this is a right-handed sheath, so I've got half of the options. If I had both sheaths, I could do all sorts of things, but these are still a fairly adaptable and versatile sheath where you can spin the clip around 360 degrees. So for me, if I wanted to carry this on my right side, I'd have to, if I wanted to carry this on my right side handle up, it's going to be set up perfect for that. If I wanted to carry it left side handle up, I'm carrying it, I'm going to have to draw it in reverse grip, like a lot of sheaths for right-handed people, if you're left-handed. But what I've been doing is carrying this handle down on my right side, which on my offhand, so I've got it there if I need it. Handle down, forward carry, super, super handy place to carry it. Actually, even lower profile than if I was carrying it handle up, just the way the sheath is built. So it hugs my body extremely well. This Tops mill spy line in particular are very low profile, thin knives. So a interesting, different way to carry it. But if you're doing handle down, goes without saying, you're going to need a knife with some very good retention, or rather a sheath with some very good retention. Otherwise, you're going to lose your knife. Or worst case, you're going to be going to sit down or lay down, or maybe you go to trip or fall, or maybe you're hunting and you go to like plop yourself on the ground and the knife falls out of the sheath, and then you impale it into yourself, and then you're in the hospital, or worse than that, not in the hospital because you didn't make it there. So just make sure your retention is good in your sheaths before you carry the way that you're going to carry. And a lot of these sheath options, these clips and anti-clips and straps, have got options for like MOLLE and different backpack strapping and stuff. So there's pretty much always, especially these knives designed by ex-military or outdoor survival type folks, you'll get options for paracord and MOLLE and all these different things where you'll probably be able to find a way to get it attached to your gear one way or another. So a method I don't use ever at all is neck knives, which in Canada and places where you're not allowed to conceal knives, you got to be careful neck knifing or doing any of these methods where you could be considered concealing a weapon. So if I had a cop come up to me, I would be if I had a neck knife, I'd take it out of my shirt. If I had something in the waistband, I'd tuck my shirt in so you could see it. I'd identify those knives, identify the fact that they're tools and I'm a knife enthusiast and that they are there for EDC purposes, just to make sure that he or she is comfortable with what I'm carrying and that they don't feel like I'm trying to be mischievous or criminal-like or anything like that. And you can get mad at cops all you want. I know there's definitely some good ones and some bad ones, but if you have to deal with people who you always have to be concerned with wanting to make a move on you and put your life at risk, it makes sense that you're going to be a little hyper vigilant. So I just want to make their jobs and their lives as easy as possible by letting them know about that stuff before they have to figure it out accidentally and have that little adrenaline surge catch them off guard and maybe me off guard and put us both in a bad situation. But neck knives are an option if you need a little backup knife. Smaller knives, of course, knives that are made for neck knifing is the best way to go, like the Minimalist or the original Azula 1 from SE Knives. And the last option I've got here, but certainly not the last option you have for carrying fixed blades, but I would say, and let me know in the comments if I'm wrong, I'd say I've got most of the common ways to carry a fixed blade on the table right now, but I'd be curious to know if there's a major one that I'm forgetting. But like I mentioned at the beginning, there's different things like belt buckle knives and pen knives and different concealable knives, novelty items and stuff, which aren't going to make this list or this discussion. But yeah, again, if there's anything I'm missing, I'd be very curious to know. But this is the last one, and this is where we're crossing into the lines of not really EDC and more defensive weapon kind of thing. But you can check out my video where I talk about our knives, tools, or weapons. I do sort of say that I think this is the only knife that I own that's 100% purpose-built for penetrating and weapon-y type stuff. So generally speaking, I consider all knives to be tools and all things to be tools, but this is very purpose-built, and it's hard not to say that this is a weapon-like object. So a boot knife can be a tool, and there's different knives that are built less weapon-like than this one, but you do have options there where, again, if you're in a place where you're not allowed to carry knives for self-defense, just be a little more careful, and you're going to have a hard time justifying that one. If you're looking for a spot to carry a backup knife, or I know for people who carry backup sidearm, a boot knife or a boot pistol holster is a good way to go. So boot knife options there. You can get something a lot smaller than this. Of course, one of the issues with boot knives is that you need a boot with the right sidewall and everything to fit the clip or the strap or whatever of the type of knife you're using. But most boot knives, I do believe, boot knives have got some kind of a clip like that you can just slide over it, over the side of your boot rather. So something with a little bit of a more ankle protection, or with a little bit of I guess a bigger boot with a higher wall on it, it's going to be easier to clip. You're going to have a hard time clipping that on a short ankle boot or a sneaker, of course, or something like that. But let me know how you prefer to carry your fixed blades. It was one of the recent hog polls. I want to say hog poll number somewhere between 9 and 11. Go to the Hard On Gear channel, then hit the community tab, and you can go down and scroll to find all of the different polls. Every Tuesday there'll be a new hog poll come up, and the topics, of course, being knives, fixed blades, folders, different channel preferences, and all that kind of stuff. But tell me what in that poll, whatever it is, 9, 10, or 11, what your favorite way to carry your fixed blades are. And there's different ones talking about if you're using lanyards or not. Always curious to know your guys' opinions. And of course, the comment section is always the best place really to let me know what you're thinking at the end of each one of these videos. So check out my fixed blade videos over here. I'll put the fixed blade playlist on the right, as well as maybe my top 5 fixed blade video up there as well. So check one of those out, or check out the Hog channel by clicking on that little badge up there. I dare say that will be about the end of this one. So thank you again for watching. Hit the like button if you haven't. And this is the Hard on Gear channel signing off.